This is an uncensored podcast about sex, sexuality, gender, and body stuff. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the person or persons sharing them. Some names have been changed to protect the anonymity of its participants. Hi friends, it's me, Drew Michael, and this is a very special episode of Make Sex With Me, a podcast where every episode is special. You're like, why is this one special, you asshole? I don't know. I've given it a lot of thought. I guess that's what makes it special. I've been wanting to post this episode for a couple weeks now and went back and forth with trying to decide if I should. I mean, the instant that any of it happened, I was like, oh, this is perfect content, which is kind of like the bad thing about being a writer or a podcaster or just a person that creates content of any kind. Hold on, what's the dog want?
Darcy, you want to lay in the bed? Come here. I cannot burp you. I give you little burps. And then I take you and give you a kiss. Put you up in the bed. You lay down.
My dog needs me to burp her. She needs to burp after she eats, I've decided, and she comes up to me now every time she eats. Kind of like dogs do that anyway, just to say thank you for,
Thank you for feeding me. Thanks so much for keeping me alive.
That's what she talks like. Sometimes she's like, I love food. Sometimes she does that one too. If I can't do anything else with my career, maybe I could be a cartoon voice actor. So now she needs me to burp her. So that's great. That's where I'm at in my life. We're going to get into it. What was I even fucking talking about? I have no clue. Thanks dog, for interrupting me. Yeah, so I decided I wanted to post this episode. I'm going to change some names. I'm going to give you very little information about the people because I don't want them to be identifiable. There's a very good chance the people might hear this and be like, oh, he's talking about me. And you know what? I want that to be okay, because honestly, I'm not saying anything that's not factual. I'm going to be talking about things that actually happened. And this is, though I'm not a professional journalist, this is a form of journalism. I'm telling a story, and it's important that I tell stories. I used to talk a lot about how it was so important that I only tell my own story, not other people's stories, and or have permission to tell people's stories. And it's I don't know if it's that important. I mean, there's so many people telling stories that are other people's stories, and so many stories are, it's that's your story, but it's also a lot of people's story. So it's not I need permission to tell someone's story. What I'm going to describe is a situation that's happened to me personally many, many times, in which I play the same role every single time. So it's happened enough that I could be talking about a group of people recently or a group of people 5 years ago or a group of people 10 years ago. It doesn't really matter. The point is that I'm finding myself repeating patterns, and it's getting to a place where I'm very, very tired of it. So anyway, before we continue, please, if you like this podcast, rate, review, and subscribe wherever it is you listen to podcasts. Maybe that's Apple. Maybe that's Spotify. And if you want to write in to Make Sex With Me Podcast, you can do so at makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. Please put something catchy in the subject so I say, oh my God. And it doesn't just go to my spam where a lot of things end up. A lot of good things. I should probably check my spam, actually. Anyway, all right, so today's episode is going to be all about, and I don't know if this is a quickie-sode. I don't know if I'm going to talk for an hour. It's kind of this thing where like I have to talk about it because I don't know how else to express this. I don't have anyone else to tell about it. I mean, I have like friends and stuff I could talk about it with, but I'm having a bit of a crisis. And so if you can't tell by the name of this episode, this is going to be a very, very drawing some parallels here between I recently became embroiled in a love quadrant. Like, it's not a triangle, it's a square. Why is it so hard for me to remember what a four-edged shape is called? It's a square. True. But it's really kind of like a triangle with like an arm, like just a misshapen triangle kind of sorts. And also, I feel delusional even including myself in the shape at all. So we're going to get into that. Okay. So I just started playing with this and I was like, I need to come up with some fake names for these people. And I feel like I'm talking about A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a play. And I think it's by Shakespeare. And now I'm going to look that up because I know somebody. I'm not sure that the kinds of people that like my podcast are the kinds of people that like Shakespeare, or like even the kinds of people that are intelligent. I don't know. Yeah, it's by William Shakespeare. It was written somewhere around the 1590s. Cool. So you can look that up. Also, the movie version came out with Calista Flockhart when I was like a child, like a young high school-ish aged child. And like, I just liked Ally McBeal. It's probably the only reason why I watched it. But I need to rewatch it. It's a pretty good movie. Kevin Kline is in it. Michelle Pfeiffer. Stanley Tucci is in it, which is like, yum. I would fuck Stanley Tucci at 90 years old. And he could be missing teeth, and I'd fuck Stanley Tucci. He's yummy. Should we talk about Stanley Tucci for another 10 minutes, or should I continue? I think maybe, yeah. Okay, great. So I'm going to change some names. I'm not even going to tell you like where I know these people from. I just recently got myself embroiled in this like 20-something bullshit. So I'm older than all of the people in this story. And I got involved in this love situation, and it came on real quick, and there was a lot of emotions, and I'm feeling very shitty. It's like I'm old enough to know that I'm fucking 38. Okay, guys. I'm old enough to know that certain situations aren't worth my time. and certain red flags that people might put out are there for a good reason. You should be like, oh, that's a sign that I shouldn't be friends with this person, or that I shouldn't invest so much time in liking this person because they are doing absolutely nothing to return those feelings or like, appreciations. But I continue to act like a fucking 16-year-old child. I was going to say girl, but it doesn't have to be, specifically a girl, but I kind of feel like a 16-year-old girl, I guess. Um, and I'm like hanging out with these young people. One of these people was like, he's like, oh, I like, we all went out one night and he was like, this is like the best night of my life. I've never ever been out to a bar with friends. And I was like, I'm sorry, were you in a cult? And then I was like, oh, you're 22. You're 22. So you haven't done this before. You're 22 and you didn't go to college. So you haven't done this before. It was like interesting. So it's sorry, I'm using a lot of S right now. I don't know why it's nice. Oh, can I also say this whole entire episode is brought to you by me learning recently, maybe because I'm hanging out with 20 somethings, but recently learning about Chapel Roan and instantly becoming obsessed with every single song by Chapel Roan. Chapel Roan is really fucking good. Like, I'm so sorry. I know I'm an old fucking millennial, and apparently I'm wearing socks that are too short. It's like not cool to wear like the ankle socks that you can't see in your shoes. Apparently you've got to wear longer socks now. I'm not cool, it turns out. But I just learned about Chapel Roan, and I'm just feeling it so hard. Chapel Roan, it's like, is it a person? Is it a girl? Is it a singer? Is it a thing? Is it a movement? I think Chapel Roan is a movement. I'm just gonna go there. I can't get her songs out of my head. Pink Pony Club, My Kink is Karma, Kaleidoscope. Oh my God, I can't. I literally can't. I'm gonna literally get off of this recording and I'm gonna fucking just listen to Chapel Roan and cry, and I'm not gonna drink anymore because I've been drinking like a fucking 20-year-old too. Shit. Anyway, so okay, so don't try to draw too many parallels with A Midsummer Night's Dream because it's been a long time since I saw it and it's not perfect. I tried to like match the names with the people in this story and make it make sense, but then it didn't work absolutely perfectly. There's some things that work really well, and I was like, cool. So introducing I'm calling this A Midsummer Life Crisis, written by me and performed by me, and I didn't write it. I just have like some loose notes here. So the main female in this play is named Hermia, and Hermia is a female. That's all I'm giving you. I just met Hermia. All right. I like Hermia a lot, and I have been wanting to be friends with her. And we kind of vibe in a lot of ways. But at the same time, early on when I was like trying to like hang out, be chill with Hermia, she like was giving me a lot of flakiness and some red flaggage, and I was just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna keep giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like we don't really know each other that well, but I was kind of like, and like I have like other best friends, and like some of my best friends, like Priscilla was here Lexi was here. They both moved, and oh my god, I'm gonna be just like exhaling a ton into the mic. I'm really sorry. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Just like it's gonna be good. It's so much vocal fry. Sorry. So I don't know. I was telling Priscilla and Lexi about this girl Hermia, and I was like, I am just really, really liking her, but like then she's telling me a lot of like contrasting things, and I'm like very confused, and it sounds like she's like wanting me to think that she wants to be my friend, and then she's doing things that makes me think that she doesn't care to be my friend. And I don't know, it's just kind of like, what's up with this girl? um but I was like, maybe she's busy, maybe she's all over the place, maybe she's going through something. So it turns out she is. But anyway, so there's that. um in this play, it would make sense for me to be Helena, but I don't want to be Helena. So, like, okay, in Midsummer Night's Dream, Hermia, and I wrote this down, Hermia's in love with Lysander. We're going to talk about Lysander in a second. Also, Lysander's in love with Hermia, so they're good. That's a closed circuit. They're fucking solid, right? Then there's Demetrius. Demetrius is also a suitor of Hermia. So we're going to talk about Demetrius in a second. So you got two guys that want Hermia's puss, basically. Puss. Puss. Sorry, I had to do it. Then there's Helena, who's in love with Demetrius. So in love with someone who's in love with someone else. Fucking great. Doesn't really work for my story, and I don't want to be Helena. Plus, I feel like a big fat fucking loser in all of this. So there's also a character. There's also a character named Hippolyta, which reminds me of a mixture between like hippopotamus and cellulite. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm so trashing myself so hard that I'm laughing my dick off. I'm sorry. I'm sorry and I'm not sorry. It feels really good to talk shit about myself because we try so hard to be like, no, no, don't ever talk. Don't you ever let anyone ever say anything bad about you. Don't you ever. If you talk about yourself to like your friend, if you say bad shit about yourself to like your friend, they're like, don't you ever talk shit about my friend to me ever again. I won't have it. I won't have it, okay? It's like, all right, thank you. Thank you for standing up for me to me. Thank you. But at the same time, what are we going to do about all these feelings of hatred I have towards myself? Am I just going to ignore them? Oh, I guess I'm going to have to because you're not giving me any other fucking choice. I'm Hippolyta, and I approve this message. All right. Then there's another guy in my story that I'm going to name Puck. Because Puck is like this little, sexy woodland nymph. But you know how nymphs are. They play fucking tricks, and they're can't be trusted. They're all over the place. I think Puck is like, he has like little goat legs and like a big dick or something. I don't remember. But it makes him really hot. He's got like goat legs, human upper body, little horns coming out of his head, and like probably a big dick. So love that. The person I'm naming Puck, actually, that's a perfect description of him. I'm not sure if he has a big dick, but I think maybe he does. And I'll talk about it. Okay. I don't know if like I'm doing this story I don't know if this is working, but we're going to keep talking anyway. I'm going to talk until I lose my voice. Okay. So Hermia, a person I want to be friends with, and I'm not sure if I can trust Hermia. Then there's Lysander. Okay, Lysander is this guy who we both know, and he's really, really fucking cute, and he's really nice, and he's really thoughtful, and he's really like smiley, and he flirts, and he makes everyone in the room feel special and loved, and you almost wonder, like, why? You're almost like, okay, you hugged me and I thought you wanted to fuck me. And then you went and hugged this bitch over here and said, like, I love you. You make my life better. And now I'm like, oh, do you want to fuck both of us or do you not want to fuck me? Like, and I know, like, it doesn't mean if someone says hi to you, if someone's nice to you, it doesn't mean they want to fuck. It doesn't mean they want to get married. But again, 16-year-old girl here thinks. So, and I mean, we flirt. We flirt. And he says things that are like, well, I might want to get in your pants, or like that's not what he says, but it's like there will be saying something and then there's like an opportunity to make a pun out of it, and he's like, I'd like to jelly your roll or whatever, and it's like, okay, you didn't have to say that, but you did, and it was very cute and flirty and makes me think that you would like to jelly my roll. So, like, I flirt with people. I don't tell people I don't want to fuck that I want to jelly their roll. He also didn't say jelly your roll, but I can't think of what was said because I'm 38. Okay. So, anyway, that's Lysander. And like I said, Lysander and Hermia, they're good. Okay. There's Demetrius. Who the fuck's Demetrius? Also a suitor of Hermia. Oh, wait. Demetrius is Hermia's husband in real life. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. But just remember, put a pin in that. So I met, no, don't put a pin in that. We'll talk about it now. I met Hermia and Demetrius. I met Hermia and then eventually I met Demetrius. And she was like, this is my husband, blah, 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 and everything seemed really good. They seemed fine, blah, blah, blah. Um, I don't really want to get into like some of the red flag kind of stuff that she gave me, but it was like a lot of like, let's just say like she's like, oh, let's hang out later, and then I'm like, okay, and then I find out, oh, she's not able to hang out later because she has this thing she has to go to, but she didn't tell me that. I found out from someone else that she wasn't going to be able to hang out with me later because she like already had a thing she had to do. So like she just said she wanted to hang out with me, and then it was like, how are you supposed to hang out with me? And me, I should have gone to her and say, hey, like, you wanted to hang out, but I think you're doing something already, or did you forget? Like, I should have just confronted her, being like, hey, like, it's totally fine, but like I think maybe you double booked. But of course I didn't say that. I don't know why, because I'm a dipshit. And so I just let her say, yeah, let's do this thing, and then not follow through, and then just be like, it's fine, whatever, and like never receive an apology, never receive a consideration, right? Um, I will tell you this other detail, I guess. I mean, you want to know. It's not that big of a deal. She was like, um, I feel like I said, like, let's hang out sometime. We can have brunch. We can go have drinks or something. And she was like, I can't drink. I just started a new antidepressant. And I was like, oh, okay. Um, which one are you on? Because I'm on Lexapro, and I mean, like, totally get like, not wanting to drink, at least for a while when you first start it, but like some of them, like, you can drink a little bit, just not a lot, and it might make you feel like really tired, and if you drink too much it could kind of depress you and kind of ruin the effects of the drug, for a short while or whatever. But anyway, so I was just like, totally fine. We don't have to drink. We can just hang out, whatever. And then it was like her birthday, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going out." And to like a bunch of people, she's like, "I'm going out. I'm getting wasted." And I was just like, "Wait, I thought you weren't drinking." And then there's a lot of confusion with that because like she went on the drugs and then she went off the drugs, and she was like, "I wanted to go off the drugs because I still wanted to drink," and like I went off she might have gone on the drugs and went off the drugs because she was having side effects. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people go on and off drugs, but it's just like it all happened within like a couple of days where I felt like she was like making shit up. Like I was like, I'm sorry, I wanted to hang out with you, and you said you couldn't do what I said we should do because you like couldn't drink. You didn't recommend doing something non-drink related. and then like a second later you told a bunch of people you were going to go get wasted for your birthday. So it was just like, and that might not have happened in that order. It might have happened in the opposite order, but it was so, the two things were so close together that it just made me kind of go, that's interesting. I was like, are you putting off going on medication till right after your birthday? Are you taking a break? Like, I just was like, what's going on? So there's just some things, okay? There's some reasons why I should go, okay. And there was another thing. There was another time when like she wanted to hang out like that night. And then at the end of the thing we were all hanging out at, or the thing we were doing, she was like nowhere to be found, and she had just left. And I was like, I don't know, should I text her and say like, hey, were we gonna hang out? Like, what's going on? You know? So that's interesting. We have hung out once. We had like just a little day outing, a little friendly day outing, and it was fun. Although I will say that like she kind of like, she did seem kind of like she had other things on her mind, which is totally fine. But like, I don't know, you know, when you're having a conversation with someone and they just kind of like, they look like they don't give a shit about what you're saying every once in a while, and you're like, okay, cool, you know, this is fun. It's like, great. So, and that could be like because they have other things going on. And I mean, but it's also like, okay, bitch, we all have other things going on. So, yeah. It's a sign that the person might think that their things are more important than your things. And of course, she should feel like her things are more important than my things because they're her things and she has to live her life. But if we're trying to be friends, then you kind of have to like, you know, you have to treat my things like my things are important too, and I'll return the favor. How about, you know what I mean? So, and she not 100% not treating me well, but like I just noticed it. I just noticed we'd be having a conversation, and then I would be like, I'd feel like, oh, I've been talking for like a lot of this conversation, which sometimes, I mean, I do talk a lot. I mean, hello, I'm a podcaster, but like every once in a while I'll be like, oh, this other person hasn't talked, and I don't think it's just because I keep talking. Like I'm not like letting them have a word. They're like, they just don't seem to care what I'm talking about, or they don't care to respond to me, or like they're on their phone. They're like we're talking, and then all of a sudden they pull out their phone and they're texting, and then I'm like, okay, you know, just like things like that. And again, when you don't know a person really well, you just kind of notice those things. Like if we were on like a legitimate romantic date, I would be like, okay, like I don't take my phone out on a date. There's certain rules. You don't talk about certain things on first dates. You don't pull your fucking phone out and ignore your person you're with. Like you're just with one person, you know? If something important comes up and you guys have been hanging out for like an hour or something, and then you're like, oh, hey, just hold on one second. I have to like check my email, or like I have to like text this person back. Like that's totally fine because like we all have shit, right? But just like maybe saying that, be like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm on my phone for a second. Like this person is texting me and I have to like get back to them. That is a really good thing to do in that situation. So the other person doesn't feel like you don't give a shit about them. How about that? So, anyway, that was Hermia. I talked about Lysander. Talked about Demetrius, Hermia's husband. Hermia told me that things weren't working out with her and her husband. And I was like, oh, that's too bad, you know, but I wasn't like upset because I really don't know them that well. Also, I am not anti-divorce. I'm not anti-separation. I'm not pro or against it. I just know that like different things happen. You know, we have relationships in our lives and we grow towards, we grow apart, and we grow with people. And every once in a while you're like, is this still working for both of us? And sometimes the answer is no, not really, not right now. Is there a way we can make it? Maybe, but like, do we both want to try? We have to see. So I'm not like, when my friends tell me, and I mean, I literally have 3 different people in my life that are going through like weird not sure if we should break up places and with their partners. And it's just like, okay. And it's just no one answer. There's no one answer to what should we do. You've got to figure it out. But you've got to communicate and you've got to be honest and you've got to, you know, sometimes you've got to seek outside help from like counselors or, you know, a therapist or something. So I wasn't like upset when I heard that. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry that's, you know, you're going through that. But I wasn't like, oh, that motherfucker, you're, you know, like some people, like when they find out that like their friends getting a divorce, they're like, you know, that I never liked that guy. Like he's an asshole. And oh, you're so much better without him, girl. I got you, girl. You're so good, girl. It's like, that doesn't really help either, does it? Because, you know, I don't, so maybe I'm breaking up with my partner, but you don't know like if my partner instigated it or if I did or if it was mutual or like what our reasonings were. And like, that doesn't, breaking up with someone doesn't make you a bad person. It would be worse if you stayed with them and were dishonest and like did a bunch of shit behind their back, right? So there's that. But you know, being true to yourself or your partner never makes you a bad person. Um, but so I was just like trying to be supportive and I was like, well, that's a hard thing to go through. Like, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, I hope, you know, you're doing okay. And, you know, I won't talk much about that because I know that's actually a very private situation. And, you know, if these people were to figure out, you know, who everybody is in the situation, I wouldn't want to make that more difficult for Hermia and Demetrius. But so Hippolyta, I like Lysander. I like Lysander a lot. I also like Puck. Okay. I like Lysander a lot, and Lysander has been cute with me, flirty with me, like I said. Lysander, I've been getting to know a lot better, and I look forward to getting to know Lysander more, and I see him, and I actually like try to dress nice to see him. Like, it's very 16-year-old girl, cute, whatever, and I'm trying to play it cool, you know, all this stuff. But and Hermia was like not interested in Lysander at all. Was married, so like that was fine. And then we started to feel like as though Lysander maybe liked Hermia, and I was like, okay. I mean, actually, I don't know, but Hermia was like not having it. She's like, I'm getting a little creepy vibe from Lysander. Like, he knows I'm married, and like he seems to like me, and it's creeping me out. Like, it's just a little much, and I think he might be like unwell or something. And of course, Hermia speaks very hyperbolically, so like she probably didn't actually think he was like not well. She just probably was like, you know, he doesn't get it. I'm off limits. But I also noticed Hermia, and I said to her once, I was like, it's so funny that you think he's creepy because, like, I was watching you, like, talk to him the other day, and you were like, and you were like flinging your hair around, and like your hair was looking amazing, by the way. So like, literally, what the fuck? What did you do to make it look that good? But I was just like, it's funny that like one minute you're saying this, and the next minute you're kind of acting in a way that's like not the what you said. So like again, I'm starting to think like she'll say one thing and do another. She'll say one thing to one person, say another thing to another person, and I get that that's like a survival, a way to survive. You know, like you can't tell everyone the truth. You know, like professionally or whatever. So that makes sense, but um, I don't know. Again, it's just because I know things and then I see I'll see her tell people. She'll tell me one thing, and then I'll see her go and tell everyone like the absolute opposite, and then like be like really confidently saying, I definitely mean what I'm saying right now. And I'm like, you just told me the opposite over there, and you meant what you were saying then. It just feels weird. It just feels weird. Like she'll talk some mad shit about someone and then go up to them and just be like, I think you're doing amazing as a person. And I'm just like, see, I don't understand that. Yeah. Red flags. I'm so sorry. Just red flags. Okay. And this is in no way, by the way, this whole episode is in no way like some kind of like a, getting back at people. I don't want anyone to feel bad. I just want to talk about it. I feel betrayal from Hermia, and I don't even know her that well. So that makes me feel like a fucking idiot. There's more. Hold on to your pussy lips. Okay. So let's talk about Puck for a second. So Puck is this guy who's like, cute, funny, kind of scatterbrain, kind of flutters around, woodland nymph. I've known him for a while. It's funny that any of this should happen because I liked Puck like 2 years ago. And then Puck, oh, and it's also funny that there's this lyric about this chapel this Chapel Roan lyric. God, I'm so fucking stupid. There's like this like Chapel Roan lyric in like Kink is Karma. It's like oh fuck, I just had it. It's like I heard from Katie that you're like not doing Grady. That's not what she says. And then she says like, I heard you're like living with your parents and like dating 18-year-olds or something. And I'm just like, first of all, I'm dating people way too young for me, or like trying to, it seems. And then so Puck and I liked Puck a while back, and I thought Puck liked me. And then after I wasn't seeing Puck for a while, I tried to hang out with Puck, and he was not making it easy for me to hang out with him. So then I was like, okay, great. And then I saw him at a thing, and I was excited to see him. And then I found out he was dating like a girl in high school. He was like in his early 20s, and she was in high school, and she was not 18. I'm almost positive. She might have been, but she was still in high school. So I was just kind of like, okay, so I'm interested in dating someone who is young enough to think he can date someone in high school and not have it be weird. So that's weird. But anyway, I think you might be picking up what I'm putting down here about me playing the same role over and over again. It's this feeling of like, okay, now I'm thinking about the great orgy of 2000 and whenever the fuck Hurricane Sandy happened. Flashback to my Brooklyn apartment. All right, me and my roommate Siobhan and my roommate Ben had all decided to go to. Oh, also Ben's boyfriend at the time might have lived there, whose name I can't remember, so he's safe. There was a hurricane, and we had watched all of seasons whatever was out of The Walking Dead, and it was like, we need to get out of this apartment. And it wasn't that bad where we were. It wasn't like anything got ruined. I think I saw like the lid of a trash can fly through the air at one point, and I was like, oh shit. And then that was all that happened. We were like higher ground Brooklyn for Hurricane Sandy. It was just a lot of rain, some wind, and you're in a big apartment building. You're just kind of like, okay, whatever. I was on the 3rd floor. I was like, I'm pretty sure we're fine. And then we heard that the bar on our street was open. It was like 2 doors down. And we were like, oh, we're going to this bar. And there were so many people there. It was like so much fun. It was like, oh my God, there's literally a hurricane happening. We're at a bar. And we're just going to get fucking drunk. We're going to do like $3 whiskey shots and PBR tall boys. Like, fuck, Yeah, total hipster paradise. Anyway, at one point I said to Siobhan, this was really weird. We hadn't even like planned this. I turned to Siobhan and I said, Siobhan, do your job. And she went, got it. I don't even know I don't know what I was talking about, but she did. She turned around, walked over to the bar, and within 5 minutes, she's like, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, and that girl are all coming back to our apartment. And I was like, uh, oh my God. Like, I needed her to wingman for me. I needed her to, like, get me a boy to fuck. Find me, find me somebody to fuck. And she fucking did. She found, like, half the bar. And I wish I was making this up, but it sounds like you can't make this stuff up. No, you can, but I didn't. Um, so these people all came back to our house, and then like right before Hurricane Sandy, it was like Halloween time, and I'd planned this like Halloween party, and nobody came. So there was like a whole bunch of like weird liquor that I had. Like I had green apple pucker, and I had like just a bunch of vodka and beer and stuff. And so these people all came back to our place, and we drank a bunch of pucker. And we all went up to Siobhan's like little studio room thing, and an orgy began, and it ended up being like Ben wasn't a part of it. Ben was like, gotta go, but he did open the door at one point and just like stick his camera in and take a picture, and I was like, oh my God, you fucking perv. Anyway, so then also my friend Daniel was there. That was fun. It's really weird when you get into an orgy with a friend that you haven't even seen naked, and we should have seen each other naked because, you know, what are friends for? But anyway, at some point, I was like sucking someone's dick, who was sucking someone's dick, who was sucking someone's dick, who was eating someone's vag. And I had my ass out, and I turned around, and Daniel was making out with a guy on the other side of the room, and he looked over and saw my ass and went like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, fuck you. This is an orgy, okay? But no, Drew. No, Drew. It wasn't an orgy, Drew. You were at the bottom of a fucking oral totem. Like you were the bottom most totem on an orgy pole. Like nobody, you were sucking someone who was sucking someone who was sucking someone. Someone was getting sucked and doing no work up at the top, and you were having nothing done to you at the bottom, and you were fine with that. Like fucking story of my life. Fine getting nothing from anyone and just giving to someone who doesn't even want it. I was sucking someone's dick who was just kind of like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you not want me to suck your dick? And he was like, I guess. Like I wasn't like raping him. He was fine with it, but he was just kind of like, what's your name? And I was just like, oh, you know, he was like, okay. So that was a good story. Shortly after that, I quit drinking for 3 years. But anyway, so yeah, my puck scenario ended with me being alone, and Puck being with whoever the fuck else. And then his child bride. And then they broke up recently, and now Puck's back in my life in a way, and I've been interested in fucking Puck or doing something with Puck, and he's just like a little fairy sprite. He's like hot and cold. He like says yes, and then he's gone, and then like literally one night I was driving him home from it was the night, the Midsummer night, we'll call it. I was driving him home from all of us hanging out, and he said to me, I don't know if I should drive. And I said, oh, I was driving him back to his car. His car was somewhere else. I was driving him to his car. And I said, well, you know, you don't have to drive. Like, do you need me to like take you somewhere? Or like, do you want to like just come back to my house and crash? I was like, the only problem is I have to work tomorrow. So like, you'd have to figure your shit out in the morning. And he was like, yeah, I don't know, like, if I should drive. He's like, he's like, this is the first time I've ever drank before. And I was like, crazy. And he was like, I don't know if I should drive. And I said, well, you can come back to my place. And he's like, oh, he's like, are you going to like try to have sex with me? And I was like, um, I didn't really like the way he put it. I was like, I don't know. No, like, I'm probably not going to like just try to, I was like, I don't really like just like try to have sex with people. He's like, what? You don't? And I was like, well, I don't know, not like that. Like if a person, if like there's a vibe, sex can happen. And he's like, are you saying there's not a vibe? And I was like, no, I'm not saying that, but like I mean like the vibe like in the moment, like do you think we're in the vibe right now? Like do you think this is a moment or are you just fucking drunk? And anyway, he's like, I think I'm good to drive. And I was like, oh, okay. And I dropped him at his car and then I left. And then I tried to text him later and he didn't respond. And he kind of doesn't respond a lot to my texts. So, and he's 22. So I'm like, great. He also sent me, because I found him on Grindr, and he sent me a picture of himself. Basically, the camera stops right at the pube line. And I'm like, oh, hubba hubba. And I think I sent him like a message of like, oh, yes, Zaddy, like, I want to lick. And then he didn't say anything. So there's that. And I was like thinking, oh, he's got to get a little drunk in order to feel, loose enough to like hook up or whatever. And then last night we were all out and he got really drunk and he had also farted a lot in front of me and burped in my face. And I was like, oh my God, Puck. Like, you are not making this easy. Like, first of all, I think you need to go to the bathroom. Second of all, then you need to take a shower. And then we need to have sex. But I'm not sure I want to. But I kind of do still. Also, I told myself I was going to fuck you. I told myself that I didn't fuck you 2 years ago when I wanted to, and I'm going to fuck you now. And I don't know what that means, but it's going to happen. And so it was like a personal goal that I still haven't fulfilled. But anyway, there's still a chance. But then again, is there? So, and also isn't it hilarious that I'm like interested in Puck, interested in Lysander, we're all hanging out, Hermia's there, Demetrius is not there. So basically what happened was Hermia's going through it, she's having a lot of issues, and she's kind of started to fall back on Lysander, who really likes her and cares about her, and they ended up having sex. And they've been having sex. And they've been kind of inseparable. And I'm going to read you some things about that. But once they had sex, her knowing that I liked him and her being already married led me to think that at some junction she might say, hey, listen, I'm really sorry. Like, he's not yours, but I know that you liked him and I'm trying to be your friend, so I want to apologize because I did have sex with him. Or like, we're kind of hanging out. I'm sorry we're hanging out. I know you liked him, but like, I'm going through it and it's helping me a lot to like hang out with him, and the sex is good too. And I would be a little bit more like, I got it. I understand. But there's been she kind of said one night like, hey, don't hate me. And I'm like, that's not an apology. And maybe you don't feel like I deserve an apology, and maybe I don't. But we are probably not going to be friends if that's how you feel. Um, so anyway, let me read a little bit. So there's two versions of how I feel about this story. I wrote down two lists. I said two versions of this epic love story. One of them is the side with which my mind is still like some fucking Nora Ephron rom-com, like where I'm like, I still feel like monogamous. And then the other one is obviously the non-monogamous side, which is like more of like I want to go towards, what I want to work towards in my mind, being a non-monogamous person. Because to me, non-monogamy or polyamory, those things make more sense. And I think that there's a lot more to issues of jealousy than that have to do with like me. Like, should I need to work on myself? Like, there's, I can't sit here and say I'm jealous and it's your fault. No, it's not. It's my jealousy is my shit. Like, I need to work on it. All right, so I wrote down like a thing that is coming from my monogamous brain side, and then I wrote down a counter thing that's like coming, that could be like how I could interpret it if I was thinking of it from a non-monogamous side of my mind or whatever. And then there's just a bunch of things that I just like farted out of my mouth at the bottom. And I guess we can decide. They're all from the monogamous side, by the way, but we can decide how to rephrase those if we're trying to like police our own brains. Also, would love to know what you guys think about this whole thing. Okay. So first thing on the monogamous side, I feel I'm mad at Hermia for betraying my trust as a friend and having sex with all of the available men, just absolutely bogarting hotties. I wrote down bogarting hotties. Yeah. How can that be interpreted from a non-monogamous standpoint? So I am open to the idea that neither me nor Hermia lay claim to any of the hot guys, and we can both have sex with them. So, like, even though she's having sex with Lysander, I can have sex with Lysander too, if Lysander wants. And I definitely messaged Lysander a week ago when I was really drunk and sitting at a bar by myself, which was a bad idea for multiple reasons, and said, hey, this is what I said to Lysander. I want you to know. I said, P.S. I like you, and I'm down to share you, but you may just be flirting with me to be nice, and I'm cool with that. Just let me know. And then he said, of course, Drew! Exclamation point. Smiley face with blushy cheeks, and smiley face with 3 little hearts on it. And I said, well, first of all, I didn't check the text because he had liked what I said with a heart, and then he had said that, and it looked like there were multiple texts, and I looked down and saw one text and thought, okay, I don't know what that means. I think there's more texts. I'm like not sure what to think about it, and I'm drunk, and I feel like, oh my god, I just put myself out there. I'm gonna fucking die now. And so I didn't read it until the next day, and then the next day I realized it was just one text with a like above. And then I was like, what the fuck does of course mean? Like, what the fuck does of course mean when I said like more than one idea in a text? Like, the ideas where I like you, you might just be flirting with me. Let me know if you like me too. Basically, like, let me know if you like me too. And then he said, of course, which is like, of course I'll let you know, or of course you like me too. So what a safe little fucking thing to say, Lysander. So anyway, the point is, and I don't know if I need to talk about this, but of course I will, because loose lips sink ships. We had gone out for dinner. A bunch of people had gone out for dinner. Like, we all know each other. and they were maybe going to come, Lysander and Hermia. And then at the last second, Hermia was like, I'm not going to be able to make it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just have to, like, take care of myself. I'm, like, having a hard time right now. And I was like, that's totally fine, totally fine. And I heard a rumor that they didn't come out with us, but that they had just gone somewhere else. And then I said, like, by the way, like, you totally need to take care of yourself. Like, go home, like, be alone, cry, do your thing. And then I found out they definitely went somewhere else. And then I said, and definitely enjoy that other place you went for dinner. Because I was like, you're fucking lying to me. Like, you're fucking telling me that you guys, you're not telling me that you're with Lysander right now. You're telling me that you need to take care of yourself and you need to go home or whatever. And then you're not even doing that. And then you're with Lysander. And I know you're just going to fuck because, like, you feel, I don't know. Because you're fucking on the rebound. That's what people do. It's just so funny. I don't know if people ever feel embarrassed by how cliche they're being. Or, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only person who's, like, never lived my life fully. I just, like, sit in this high tower and look out and, like, I'm like, oh, look how dumb people are being. I'll never do that. And then I never do anything. Like, that's very possibly the case. But I also see people doing things that, like, people do all the time. And I just think, like, what do you feel in the moment? Like, do you feel embarrassed later because in the moment you didn't realize that you were being so fucking cliche? Just being in this constant state of reaction. It's like, I don't know. I've always felt like even when I am living my life, I'm able to stop myself and step back and say, whoa, what's going on? Like, what am I doing? How am I acting? When I hear people say I had no control over myself, I just started, going. I don't know. I don't fully understand that. I feel like I never lose full control over myself. I've definitely said things before and thought, like, what the fuck? I told myself I wasn't going to say that, and then I fucking just started talking and saying it. I guess I've had that, but I've never lost control and punched a person. Although one time I jumped on I always talk about this. The one time I did something violent that I can remember. That's when I was little. My brother made me so mad. I jumped on his back and I bit him in the shoulder, and I swear I took a chunk of skin off his shoulder with my teeth. I remember being like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a piece of him in my mouth. Coffee. Great. So, okay, so that's what happened that night. I was very drunk, very ragey, and the rage made me drink even more. Let's continue. Also, I wanted to share this. Okay, I wanted to share this because I can't fucking be professional at all, apparently. But I was reading that last non-monogamous side bit, and I actually stopped, and a couple days have passed, which I wasn't going to tell anybody that. I was just going to be professional, record my podcast at different times, and just pretend that it all happened all at once. Because I can't wait for the day when I'm that professional. But I do think there's something to explain here, and that is that I was about to read. So I said, I'm open to the idea that neither me nor Hermia lay claim to any of the hot guys, and we can both have sex with them. Also, by this way of thinking, I was about to say, her husband, Demetrius, is not off limits for me. I was literally about to read that because I wrote that down as a side note, and I'm definitely not going to, like, try to have sex with her husband. But I was, like, debating whether or not to even say that she had a husband because, like, I'm not trying to out anybody for adultery, nor do I know if, like, it's literally adultery because I have no idea what their arrangement is, and I have no idea, like, if he knows what's going on. I don't know. I'm not trying to tell him. I'm not doing any of that. And I've tried so hard to like keep all the names changed and like not say anything too specific about the situation so that nobody can read into this and try to figure out who it is. And if you do, whatever, I don't know if you're right. You may or may not be right. But Demetrius face what did he do? He requested, how do you say this? He requested my friendship on Facebook a few days ago. And, well, it wasn't a few days ago now. It was probably like a week ago now or something. And I was like, oh, okay. And I added him back. And I didn't really think anything about it at the time. But after all of this stuff with Hermia and Lysander, I was like, I did write that down in my notes. I said, well, if we're all being super non-monogamous, like if I'm being asked to like open my mind and allow for any of these things and all of these things to be possible, then isn't it also true that I could do whatever I want with Demetrius if Demetrius is down? And I did write that down in my notes. In full disclosure, I did that. And right before I was about to say that, this is so funny. Hermia texted me because I had drunkenly, before I came home to start recording the first half of this, what am I saying? This is a podcast, Drew. Okay. I had said, I'm going to just reach out and say, hey, to Demetrius. And just, that's all, just say, hey, what's up? Sometimes a person will add me on Facebook and I think to myself, like, why did they add me? Like, do they just does that still mean the thing to just add people and then never talk to them? I was like, maybe he's saying, hey, what's up? And I like him, we worked together a little bit, at one point, and, I think he's cool. So I said, hey, what's up? But I didn't want to message him because I didn't want to make it seem like too, like intense or whatever. Like I didn't private message him. I just said I'm gonna find a way to say hey to him, like where it's not as personal. And I didn't think at the time that it was like gonna be super obvious to everyone else if I like commented on a photo of his. And I didn't deep dive. Like it was just like there was a picture of him with his dog and I just said, oh, what a cute puppo. And within a few hours of that, in the middle of me recording this episode, Hermia had screenshotted that and she sent it to me and she was like, I'm confused. Like, what's this about? LOL. And then I was just like, why are you confused? Like, everything you see here is exactly how it is. There was nothing more. There was nothing less. It's exactly how it is. But I think she was saying, like, what the fuck are you doing? Messaging my husband, who I'm, like, going to be not together with eventually. Possibly, quite possibly. And I was just like, well, what the fuck are you doing with all of the shit you're doing? And let's talk about more of the shit that I'm having issues with in my brain. So let's go back to monogamous, non-monogamous. On the monogamous side, I'm angry. So I've already said I'm mad at Hermia because I feel like she betrayed me. She knew I liked Lysander and she fucking said, whatever, my needs are more important than yours. Ba-boom. And then I am angry with Lysander for being flirty with me, but having sex with Hermia and acting all lovey-dovey with her when it isn't lovey-dovey with me at all. He says he likes me too, but he doesn't really, he flirts, but he doesn't act lovey-dovey with me. He hasn't coupled up with me. And they've straight up coupled. It's like, they're using like it's not the royal we, but they're using we. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. Whenever they like arrive together, they depart together. And there's a lot of we talk. And I'm just like, it's been a week and you guys are not a couple. On the non-monogamous side of things, I'm open to him liking me if he likes me, flirting with me if he wants to, but flirting doesn't have to mean that he likes me. He is free to be as involved with me as he wants or doesn't want. He can cozy up to whomever and however many people he desires. And that is all true. And that is all in the realm of non-monogamy. That's wonderful. I lay zero claim to Lysander. So I think you can start to see that the monogamous side here has me feeling angry and has me feeling hurt and powerless. The non-monogamy side is like very open and allowing, just all things to be okay. But I have to admit that in that process, I still feel hurt. And it does feel like there's the possibility of letting people walk all over me and me just being like, it's fine. So that's something I'm working on. That's something I'm struggling with. Another thing on the monogamous side, I've had it with Puck. So Puck is a little fuck nymph. For being into me and being so hot and cold all of the time. Also, he was the Lysander of yesteryear, I wrote, because I'm speaking in Old English. So I think I just explained how I don't remember what I said in the first half of this episode because it was days ago, but he had a thing after we had vibes, and then he went off with some high school girl and dated her. I said that he went for a girl instead of me that was still in high school, praying that she was mature enough. I'm praying that she was mature enough for that relationship, because I don't even know if she was 18 in high school or if she was 16 and he was 20. I have no idea. I might have been legally consensual in this state. I don't know. Maybe the parents had to sign off, but she was in high school and he was not. He was long since out of high school, and I was much, much, much older than both of them, but it would have been strange for me to date him because he was 20 and I was 30 something ? But at least it was legal, so that's cool. Definitely we're in different places in our minds, and I think that's where the big problem with all of this really does kind of lie, is that I'm in a certain place with my understanding of like my needs and my this and that. I don't know. That's hard to say because sometimes I act like a 16-year-old girl. The whole fact that I'm embroiled in this is that I'm a fucking 16-year-old girl somewhere in my brain. But at the same time, when drama hits, I think I react a little differently. My detachment from drama is, I don't want to say I'm more detached from drama because I'm obviously talking about all this, but I don't know. I think it hits different when you're 38 to when you're like 22. Drama hits different. The non-monogamous side of the Puck idea is that I'm open to Puck flittering into my life when he wants to and flittering out when he would like. If we end up fucking, that would be fun, but in no way do I need to have sex with him, although I would really like to. I don't really like him as much as I used to, and casual sex on occasion would be sufficient. That is true, although after I wrote that, I did kind of start to like him a little bit more, but I don't really like I don't feel like he's a reliable emotional partner, because he does flitter a lot. And he'll flirt and then be so cold a second later, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? And then I said to him recently on Grindr, I said, do you think we should like do stuff sometime? And then he never responded. So yeah. There's that. So the ball is in Puck's court, but he'll probably never respond. I'll probably never see him again. Back on the monogamous side of things. On this side of things, I am left feeling unwanted, unloved, undesirable, unhappy, old, fat, gross, negative, and without hope. On the non-monogamous side, I am still finding it hard to stay on this side. I want to be here. I want the freedom from bad feelings and self-hatred, getting to this side and staying on this side feels like work. It does. It's like a fucking 12-step program. So now here's some other things I wrote down. I jotted down. I may or may not have mentioned them already. And we can decide if they're going to go on the monogamous side or the non-monogamous side. But I'm pretty sure they're all going to go on the monogamous side. Because they took very little like thought to write down. It was all emotion. So I think that's something you could say. The monogamous side is like much more driven by emotion. And the non-monogamous side is much more driven by like a little bit more my civilized part of my brain being thoughtful. So I wrote down them hanging out without even inviting me. Like we're friends, but they don't fucking invite me anywhere. Like we're all supposed to be friends and they're fucking and maybe I could be fucking somebody at some point, but they constantly just go places and don't include me. So obviously monogamous side. Her being such a damsel in distress and him being unable to resist coming to the rescue, I feel like that's such a cliche thing that they're totally doing and they like don't even understand. And then I'm a person who doesn't like bothering people with my problems. I'm a little bit more self-sufficient in that. And so I'm never going to have a prince show up to save me or, you know, whatever, because that prince is only attracted to damsels in distress. And I think when you are a damsel in distress, I mean, you're being manipulative in a way, but you're also kind of giving away part of your power to someone else. And I'm not willing to do that, which might leave me lonely and alone my whole life, because you do have to give a part of yourself up to somebody when you love them. And maybe that's why I've always been by myself. Who knows? Him not texting me before I text him, and then when I text him, he is with her. Yep. What else did I want to say, though, about the damsel in distress bit? Oh, the idea of the damsel in distress and the prince coming to the rescue always will... It doesn't have room for queer people in it. It's such a heteronormative narrative that it doesn't really have room for queerness. And that's another reason why I think I have issue with it, is because I've never been able to do that. I'm literally playing so much right now with the idea of like how I'm always a character role in every show I do. How I'll always be cast as a male and I always have to like make it funny or make it... I don't mean to make all my characters gay, but like I feel like I have made them all gay, whether I like to or not. Maybe that means I'm a bad actor, maybe, I don't know, but it's just like struggling to find myself in characters, and then when I find that place between who am I and who are they, like they just come off as being gender fluid, and that's maybe because I'm gender fluid, but just I will never be an ingenue in the world we live in. I'll never be one of the lovers. I'll always be this like clowny, fag, queer comic relief on the side. And yes, I always steal the show, but do I really? Because I just fulfill another need that people have within the show. Like they still want the romantic scene, and I'll never be in that scene. And that's what it feels like when you're like, wow, my life feels like a play and I'm never going to be one of the lead characters in my own play. And maybe that just having that idea means that I only care about myself. I don't know. I definitely feel like a Carrie Bradshaw in my own story, but it's like when you're like, I know I'm a Carrie, and then everyone's like, sorry, no, you're not. You're a Miranda. And you're like, I'm a Miranda in my own story? I love Cynthia Nixon, don't get me wrong, but I'm a Miranda in the story of my own life? Oof. Damn. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm not a Charlotte. That's, at least Miranda gets laid. Well, so does Charlotte. Okay. I wrote down them, Hermia and Lysander, laying together post-coital and both texting me at the same time, two different things. I wrote down them arriving and departing only together now and using the we statements constantly. And then I wrote down that I'm left constantly with this feeling like my heart is about to burst out of my chest because I feel like I have so much love to give someone that it literally hurts and there's no one to receive it. And I think it's a terribly cliche thing to say. And I'm mad that I don't know of a better way to say it, but if I physically am explaining where I'm feeling the pain, it's like in my chest. It's like in my, maybe a little in my throat, a little in my gut. It's just like very central, and it feels like being alive, but it feels like being it's like you have this thing to express and no way to express it. And it's this idea that like love's only love if someone loves you back, which I guess that's like true if you're like, have I ever been in love? Like you have to love someone and then they have to love you back for you to be in love. Truly. That's so exclusionary. How many people have had so much love for another person that it hurts and the other person doesn't love them at all, or like loves them differently, or just likes them, or I know that if you're like in love with someone and they don't even know who you are, that's something. Lately I haven't had any answers. Lately, I seem to be able to judge everybody else, and I have no answers about my own shit. And I literally have just been stopping lately and going, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I usually have this need to tie things up with a cute little bow and have some kind of completion to an idea. But lately, I've just been saying, I don't know. It's so funny. I was listening to Lexi, like my friend Lexi, friend of the pod. She was leaving us a message about Trump speaking in front of a bunch of like a Society of Black Journalists or whatever, about how he's treated black voters and black people, and why he thinks that they should support him now. And she just kept trying to explain how crazy and stupid he is, and she just kept going like, I don't actually know why I'm leaving this message at all. Like I don't even have the thoughts or the words to explain my thoughts. She's like, I don't know. I should just stop now. But I'm going to keep talking because I have so much emotion. And I think that's what I've been feeling lately too, is like so much emotion and so little brain bandwidth to like explain it in words. Like I've been losing my words a lot lately, and I don't know, maybe that's life. Maybe like life is like getting caught up in emotions sometimes. It is very Midsummer Night's Dreamy. Also, I think this idea is trending. I think like we're getting swept up in fairy tales a lot more lately. Probably because our current reality is so like, what the fuck? And so the romantic ideals of Midsummer Night's Dream, or I've been watching the Decameron on Netflix, which is like so funny and insane, and like I'm very invested in it, especially the costumes. It's like 1300s Italy during like the pestilence, the plague, right? The biggest fear I have is that I have embroiled myself in this dramatic play, and I was never even a player. that I have the delusion of thinking that like people care about me, or, and I don't mean anybody and caring about me in any way. I know people love me. I know people value me, but like I felt for so long now, like so delusional. Like I'll feel like I'm getting vibes from a guy, and it's almost like I have a form of arrested development that's, it's not my fault. And a big part of it is that I'm queer, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying to be queer and um, put yourself out there, because you've got more than just rejection to worry about. But I do feel like the other players in this play have just continued without me. And it does feel unfair. And it's more than just queerness that arrests my development. It's probably that at a very young age, people that were supposed to love me told me that I was worthless, and taught me that the only way I could have value is if I ... And it was all objective. It was all superficial things. Had money, had a nice car, had a nice body. It is so hard for me at 38 years old to believe that like somebody would love me if I'm 40 pounds overweight. Somebody would love me if my hair is bushy and not straight. So hard for somebody to love me if I I don't know, forget to wear deodorant. Like just all these like very like trivial things if you think about it. But it's like I don't know how to get down deep enough in the foundation of how I was built to correct the mistakes. And it leaves a person just like living on a prayer, like just like literally being like, please God, let somebody love me one day. Let me find a love one day. And it makes me constantly feel like I'm not doing enough. I haven't received that love because I'm doing something wrong, or in the moment when I could be revealing myself to someone, I'm hiding and I'm putting on an act and like, oh, try to be yourself all the time. Oh, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is myself? I feel like if I'm trying not to be myself or trying to be myself, someone is telling me I'm not being myself, and I have fucking no clue who that is. I'm not sure that anybody knows who their self is. And of course, there wouldn't be a play if we were being ourselves, would there? Anyway, I hope I didn't offend anybody. I know that the players in this play might learn about this episode and they might be hurt that I said all of it, but I don't believe I said anything that wasn't true, and I wasn't doing any of this to hurt anybody. And I've tried to keep everyone anonymous as best I can, but I don't know. I was absorbed in this and I can't not talk about it. It was a whole 2 weeks of my life, a little bit more than 2 weeks. I mean, the events that led up to these 2 weeks, there was more to it than that, but it became a play, if you will, in those 2 weeks. And I actually didn't post when I was the most fired up about it. I didn't post about it because I wanted to see how it played out. I gave it a second week to see how it played out. And I'm glad I did. I also found it really hard to sit down and record this episode, believe it or not. And I'm glad that I made out somewhat of a outline for some of it. Because I did want you to know that, like, I'm not 100% sure about all the things I'm thinking and feeling regarding this. I wanted you to know there's two sides to it and that I'm working it out. I don't think I'm a better person because I sat on the outsides and watched it happen and like commented on it. I don't want people to think I'm being self-righteous, that I'm a better person because I didn't do the things I did. And I mean, I did message Demetrius. So, although I would not normally do something like that, it was very out of character, and I was like kind of loving myself for it. But then later I did feel not great. It was like I still felt great, but I kind of felt not great too. I mean, I didn't fuck him. So there's that. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Please give us 5 stars. We could use it. And please don't hesitate to email in at makesexwithmepodcast@gmail.com. And I hope that you guys are players in your own life. And I hope you're playing with your holes and filling them with whatever makes you happy or whatever. Whatever is more interesting at the time. Fill your holes with Shakespeare. Bye-bye!